special born out of me and Jerry at the Pilot in Radford, that pub in Pilot, because we used to play up there regularly every Sunday night. So that's how musician gets swapped around from in the Raking Soul band scene. That's how the whole thing started. Jerry lives up there. Silverton, the first drummer, lived across the road. So we, after the pub closed, we end up in each other's, you know, and that's how the whole thing come together. In a band called Squad, punk band. Radio had his own little band, and we just go around and just poach all these guys from the band and put them together. We thought, he's right. You know, not, but he's right. Horace was playing in a band called, they're like a jazz funk band, and he was at the same college, the Lounge it was called back in the days, with Jerry. They both went to the same college, you know. Brad, who eventually become the drummer, shared a house with Jerry, because our first drummer Silverton left the band, and Brad joined the band. Neville, we took him out of jail and put him on the stage, the best thing we've ever done, to show that you can turn your life around. And we've turned Neville's life around. And he's a real success story today.
And I remember walking into this front room at 2 Up, 2 Down in Hillfields, and very ceremoniously the Specials record came out, which of course on the other side was the Selector as an instrumental, and it was Neil's record, and we all listened to it, and he said, I'm thinking of forming a band. And everyone who was in that front room at that time, which was Charlie Anderson, it was at Charlie Anderson's house, Neil Davis, H. Bembridge, and Compton and Manor, and Gaps Hendrickson all ended up in the Selector.
There's a wonderful blue plaque on the rehearsal room that I found and initiated the Binley Oak when I met the landlord, Pete, his name was, I can't remember his surname, bless him, but he took a chance on me and allowed us to take the band into the back room and rehearse. But that was fun. We finally found somewhere to rehearse, but in the winter there was no heating in there whatsoever. So various bits of wood were used in the old open fireplace that was still in the room to keep us alive, basically, so that we could still play. But it was like stiff fingers of trying to play in cold rehearsal rooms. It was hard fought for. It was we wanted it badly because we wanted to be musicians.
Cut a long story short, I was introduced to all the Decca fraternity, like Dick Rowe and this, and I did get a recording contract out of that. That was 1963, and I made these 2 records under a name called Shell Nailer. I was personally disappointed with them. I heard my voice for the first time on a professional recording, and I wasn't very happy. The backing was fantastic. They had all the Decca backing on it, but my voice, I felt, it was quite a shock because I felt it would come over a lot stronger, and I wasn't very happy with it. But nevertheless, they did release these 2 records, 1963 and 1964. The first one was called How Deep Is the Ocean, and the B-side of that was La Bamba. And then the next one was 1964, called One Fine Day, and that featured a young Jimmy Page on the guitar, and he did a very stunning solo on it. And I think to this day it is sought after, not for my vocals, but for that particular guitar break, which was quite phenomenal in those days.
A lot of King's early rehearsals were upstairs in the General Wolf. I think it was Ken who went on to open Brown's in the middle of Coventry, but Ken Brown used to run that. It was a bit disconcerting because Ken's wife Mary at the time used to hang washing up in the room that we were in, so we used to rehearse amongst Ken Brown's underwear, you know, hanging off washing lines and things upstairs in the Wolf. Happy days. Happy days.
We looked about 6, so I think people were just like, we did. I think people were just sort of surprised that these like kids were like playing blues and sort of beyond their years really, and you know, I mean, for people that young to be into blues and stuff like that as well, you know, we were just bashing it out just as loud as we could. Just literally, I had this little Fender amp I'd won in a raffle, and just like turning it up as high as it goes and cranking it, and Liam was just like, Liam's always been the loudest drummer I've ever played with, and I think people were just sort of a bit like, didn't know what to make of us. Some people loved it, some people thought it was just shit, and we were just enjoying ourselves at that point. There was no sort of, we want to make a career out of this, or we want to, you know, we want to even write songs that are like, you know, catchy or going to be popular. It was just, you know, we just wanted to go and smash some drum kits and, you know, whack some guitars.
I was, well, a rhythm guitarist come singer, that's where I started. But I was far more serious than the rest of the band were. And, you know, there was probably 7,777 groups in Stoke Heath alone, you know. So, you know, we weren't going very far. And I just got asked at the lunch one night, could I play some records? Because I did these parties for my mates, you know. I used to take a record player, and for a bumper pack of beer, I'd play the records all night. And so somebody, Jack at Friar said, would you play the records in between for me? And I did, and you know, suddenly I was earning a tenner for Christ's sake. You know, I was getting £2.50 in a group and having to pay for the petrol to get there. Suddenly I'm getting a tenner and all the records I can collect for nothing. It was just like, it was a no-brainer.